What is happening, YouTube? Welcome to Brian's Random Thoughts. Today we're going to do a little bit of a reaction video, but I want to say hi everybody. How you doing? Hopefully you've had a better day than I have. I could absolutely use a laugh right now. So today we're going to take a look at JP Sears and a video he's put out just a few days ago, and it's called We Want You Angry. So I'm going to jump over here into the video that for some reason, wow, that's weird. Huh. Well, give me just 1 second here because for some reason, my screen just got super huge. Whoa! I wish you could see what I can see right now. So you have no idea what's going on, but this looks really weird as far as I'm concerned. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump over here to the video, and then we are going to let this bad boy play. All right, here we go.
Good evening, pawn in our chess game. Tonight we're going to take a break from conveniently not knowing what a woman is to now very conveniently knowing exactly what a woman is to bring you tonight's top story. The Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade. This takes away a woman's right to an abortion at a federal level and puts it in the hands of individual states to decide. What does this mean? How are people reacting? Why is this terrible? And how will this hurt future generations who will now unfortunately be alive to experience the future? Stay tuned for all those answers in tonight's special report, along with some other bullshit. Let's start off by seeing what the Babylon Bee had to say about the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Dems paused January 6 hearings to call for an insurrection. Sounds like some accurate reporting to me. Less than pleased with the Supreme Court's decision to overturn abortion in Portland, rioters took to the streets to peacefully smash windows and write graffiti on walls. And also in other places too. As they were rioting because their right to abortion was taken away, no one told these Portland rioters that abortion is still legal in their state.
Yes.
That they could go get one now instead of rioting if they want to. And on this issue, it's been reported that 100% of all rioters are alive and able to riot because their mothers didn't abort them. But if these people really stood for abortion, they would have been aborted, so they could have first-hand experience going through what they're crusading for. Now, legally speaking, many people are outraged over the overturning of Roe versus Wade because it takes away a constitutional right. But our legal research team shows that the other constitution that these people must be referring to is probably more important than the US Constitution. And we look forward to eventually finding it one day so we can take a look. We have reports that when those who are outraged about the Supreme Court's ruling were asked, what is the actual legal basis that gives a birthing person the guaranteed right to abortion at a federal level? They expertly broke down the legal definitions to explain, I'm angry. Powerful legal precedent. Now with abortion, should it be a federal law or a state law? Let's break it down so you can be the judge. The legalization of abortion via Roe versus Wade or something like that came from the Supreme Court in 1973. Now the Supreme Court is not intended to make any laws, as they did in the 1973 case for some reason, nor are any of the Supreme Court justices elected representatives, as Tucker Carlson points out.
The Supreme Court is simple. It's to determine whether the laws that politicians pass are consistent with the United States Constitution. That's it. That's all the Supreme Court does. What the Supreme Court does not do, what it cannot do and should never do, is make laws. And it should never do that because a court making laws would be, by definition, anti-democratic.
Now, getting to the heart of the matter, for communism to work, laws need to come from the federal level by unelected officials. In a filthy democracy, laws are passed by elected legislatures, who are elected by citizens. So when laws come from the state level, where people's elected representatives can actually represent them, that unfortunately strengthens democracy and interferes with the implementation of communism. So we'd like to thank all the rioters out there for being tricked into fighting democracy by protesting the democratic tradition of them having the right to vote for their state elected representatives, who will then either legalize abortion or not. Them allowing themselves to be used, whether they know it or not, to help usher in communism is inspiring and something their children and grandchildren could thank them for, but probably won't for some reason. Now, on this issue, we need you to know that abortion is good because it's not killing a baby, because life doesn't begin until the moment of birth. And in other news, as DC Drano points out, if you kill a pregnant woman, you're charged with a double homicide because you've killed 2 lives. Head of the Canadian Communist Party, Justin Trudeau, is reaching out his demonic hands in a humanitarian effort. Ezra Levant, on the platform that Elon Musk kind of bought, but maybe isn't, but now kind of is again, points out, Justin Trudeau has invited American women who want an abortion to come to Canada. Bodily autonomy, he says, but they're not allowed to come unless they're vaccinated first. Many leftists planned on protesting outside the home of Black Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Definitely not because he's black. Protesting this black man is important because it's not okay to take away a constitutional right under any circumstance. Just ask our president. Recently, the now elected Congresswoman from South Texas, Mayra Flores, flipped a historically blue district red for the first time in 150 years. While she was being sworn into Congress, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi took a break from insider trading to elbow and push the Congresswoman's young daughter.
Yes.
Take a look. Now, did white Nancy Pelosi do this because the Congresswoman and her daughter are Hispanic? Well, that's a question we would only declare the answer to if it was against our political opposition. Instead, we'd like to point out that as Pelosi was inflicting mild violence onto a Hispanic child, she never once broke her smile that her surgeon implanted onto her face. In other news that'll make you feel like you're in good hands, as President Biden was speaking with reporters, he revealed a cheat sheet that instructs him on how to act. The cheat sheet had instructions on it like, you enter the Roosevelt room, you take your seat, you ask Liz Schuler a question, you thank participants, you depart. Wait, who departs?
Check the notes.
Oh, I do.
There we go.
Glad we could clarify this for my clearly working brain. And it was written repeatedly in all caps. Otherwise, I probably would have missed it. We expect the president's next cheat sheet to have the additional instructions on it for an even better public interfacing. You do not talk about your mandates when lecturing people about women's bodily autonomy. Only for today, you do know what a woman is. And you do not talk about showering with your daughter like she wrote about in her diary. Also, in another impressive public showing, the abortion-centric leftist president addressed the nation that definitely elected him about the Supreme Court's decision. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy.
No, not that clip.
Other clip.
Try another one.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people.
Yeah, that's the one. In a strategic move of national leadership, he decided not to say anything with any substance. But we'd like to point out, with his eyes almost all the way closed, he was still very impressively able to read off the teleprompter, the reflection of which you can see on the doors behind him. Another cheat sheet of sorts. This enabled the president to precisely convey the message that he was instructed to give. In other news, a constitutional right that is super okay to take away is the right to bear arms. Because as President Biden has taught us, it is not okay to take away any constitutional right under any circumstance when it comes to abortion. But before he said that, he said the Second Amendment and the Constitution are not absolute. Congressman Chip Roy points out that tyrants disarm the people they intend to oppress.
Always.
Take a look.
Tyrants disarm the people they intend to oppress.
Yeah, but that's not what we're doing here. Don't be silly. Let's move on. Ahead of her sentencing, Ghislaine Maxwell has been put on suicide watch. This is in spite of the fact that her attorneys insist she is not suicidal. Now don't worry, the security cameras monitoring her cell are still working. But won't be for long. And the leader in Arizona's gubernatorial race, Carrie Lake, had a beautiful and some would even say powerful interaction with a CNN reporter. Here it is.
Hi. Carrie. Hi.
Nice to see you. Count off and CNN.
You don't have a mask on anymore. What's going
we're
on?
outside. Do you have a
Wow,
minute to
well,
chat?
we're 6 feet apart.
Do you have a minute to chat?
I'll do an interview.
Okay.
As long as it airs on CNN Plus. Does that still exist? I didn't think so, because the people don't like what you guys are peddling,
So-
which is propaganda. Thank you.
If this is any indication of how she'll stand up against tyrants and propaganda once elected governor, then all we can say is, we gotta stop her. She'll ruin our whole plan. That's it for tonight's news. In the coming months, please look for us on the left to use the Supreme Court's ruling to attract new voters to vote blue in the midterms. We think it's a foolproof plan because it'll attract people based on the virtues of killing babies and giving the federal government more power, which are both necessary for the greatest reset in history. Good night.
All right, guys. So that is it for that video. Okay, so let me just I love JP, and I absolutely needed a good laugh. One of the things I love is that he just points it out and then he just, shows it to you. There's a lot of people that like to say things that could be misconstrued or they took them out of context, but when you see it right before your face like that, it is kind of hard to overlook. One of my favorite things that's really hard to overlook is when you go back just a few years and listen to politicians, what they said before they got in office, and then you hear what they say when they get in office, which I always think is always cool. One of my favorite things is how our Second Amendment rights, which have been around since the Constitution was written, those aren't absolute, but this 1973 ruling, that is absolute. Why is that? Well, it is that way because that's what you were told to say. It's really what it's the issue has become is it's my body, my rights up to a certain point. And it's only when it's in regards to that issue that it's my body, my rights. Outside of that, no. One of my favorite memes that I saw recently was a picture of a young woman saying, "I'm not going to let any man tell me what to do with my body," right next to a picture of Fauci. So yeah, if you guys might be okay with that, I'm not okay with that. See, I like to follow the facts and follow the information and follow what's coming out. And if you've not been paying attention to what the medical community has been reporting over the last year, over the effects that this pandemic has had and the subsequent shots that went with it, then you're going to get an education here very, very shortly because I am working on that as we speak. I spend a good chunk of my day to day listening to different podcasts and different authors that are coming out and they're bringing out statistical facts of what are going on. But this video is about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. My number one statement that I repeated over and over and over and over again on social media was Roe v. Wade only affects a federal law. It does not affect the state law. In your state, your abortion laws are exactly the same. They're exactly the same. They haven't changed one bit. Matter of fact, California thinks it's such a great idea that they're trying to pass a bill right now where they will fly you into California. They'll pay for you to kill your child and then they'll fly you back home. Why is that? Doesn't that ring weird? Are they going to pay for your heart surgery? Are they going to pay for the broken leg to be set? Are they going to pay for RK surgery? Are they going to pay for any other? No. Well, why is it that it's only that one that they're so fixated on? Well, if you look back in history, if you go back in time, there's always been a group of people that did not value life. See, the question isn't, is it my body, my choice? The question is it is a body that you are choosing to kill. You made your choice when you allowed yourself to become pregnant. Let's not be screaming this stupidity of what about rape and what about incest. Bring me the percentages. I know what they are. I know what they are. And I know you don't know what they are. Because when you come to me and you bring that up, that lets me know that you've done zero research, because it's an infinitesimally small number of people. I said that wrong anyway. Wrong number of people that are actually getting an abortion with that. It is birth control by upper middle class white women. That is it. But who did they target? Who did Margaret Sanger originally target? Black people. Every quote after quote after quote. Pictures of her standing up in front of the Klan, the KKK. This is who Nancy Pelosi reveres. This is who Kamala Harris reveres. They revere these people that are all about, let's do away with the consequences for our action, and whatever we have to do to make sure we can literally get away with murder, that's what we want to do. Well, if you think that abortion is health care, what about the health of the child? As he pointed out, if you kill someone who's pregnant, you get charged with a double homicide. How is that? Because that child inside your body is alive and it is growing. It has a heartbeat. It has brain waves, has a neurological system, has circulatory system, has a digestive system. It has everything that you have except in a very small version of it. And it will become you. So you saying that is not a human is effectively saying that you're not a human, because that's a small version of you. Do you know it's a felony? It's a felony to destroy a bald eagle egg. Because everybody knows that inside that chamber that protects the life that's inside of it is something alive. And so therefore it's a felony to crack a bald eagle egg. Just like it's a homicide, double homicide, to kill a pregnant woman. See, it's only a choice when it's about convenience. Well, you know, the choice should have been to not have unprotected sex. I'm 53 years old and I have 3 kids that I planned for. I'm 53 and I have 3 kids. I'm a man. I love women. I still only have 3 kids. How is that? Because I understand responsibility. I understand thinking before you act. If you don't have that ability, then maybe you shouldn't have the right to vote or drive a car or have a job. Maybe you shouldn't have any responsibilities. Well, God forbid you have pets. Maybe you shouldn't have any responsibility if your way of getting out of a problem is to kill it. So, I don't know. You know, I had to make a decision here the last few days. Am I going to keep sitting on the fence or am I going to pick a side? Well, I'm picking a side. And this is the side I'm picking. I'm going to pick the side of life. I'm going to pick the side of logic. I'm going to pick the side of nature. What animal in nature, what mother in nature kills their offspring? What mother in nature does that? I don't know, but see, we're humans, right? And so we're evolved. How is it that we're evolved when we destroy the weakest and most defenseless among us? How does that make us evolve? Well, it doesn't. It makes you an animal. It makes you worse than an animal because animals will take care of their offspring. So, all right, guys. Well, that's enough offending for one night, I guess. All right. If you guys ever have any questions or comments, as you well know, you guys can freely leave those in the comments, chat on the live, and comments down below in the rebroadcast. If this is content that you enjoy, please like, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. So would the algorithm. And I will end you today with something else something I've been saying for the last little bit. Stand for something or fall for anything. You know, any old dead fish can float downstream, but it takes a fish with some backbone and some muscles to go against the tide. Go against the tide. All right, guys. Love you very much, and I will see you Monday at 7 o'clock. All right, guys. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye.